This video focuses on submitting and grading student work in your Moodle course. Notice in our example that I am logged in as a student, and I am prepared to submit my work for the industry essay assignment. So I'm going to click on the assignment. I've already read the instructions, and I've reviewed the rubric. And just by way of example of rubrics and their potential use in Moodle, notice that I have two copies of the rubric. The top copy, the student may enter their self-assessed score, and then another copy for the teacher to enter their score and potentially comments. So now, as a student, I am ready to submit my work. I'm going to click the Edit Submission button. Now, in your case, the button probably says Add Submission. Mine says Edit Submission because in preparing for this video, I practiced submitting an assignment. Moodle, therefore, thinks that this student has already submitted once and therefore needs to edit their submission. When a student has not yet made a submission for an assignment, the button says Add Submission. And I'm noticing that the instructions tell me to make sure that I enter my self-assessment score and attach my essay. So perhaps you just want your students to enter in their own self-assessment score on the rubric. So it might look like that. Alternatively, however, you might actually want to use a rubric that you pass back and forth between you and the student, in which case perhaps the student attaches a completed rubric. And for the sake of example, here is the student's rubric. They've completed it, indicated their score for each component as well as their total score, and they've left the teacher portion blank. So the student is now prepared to upload that document. And the student is also prepared to upload their essay. Of course, if the student uploaded their rubric, they likely would not have entered that there. So now we're prepared to save changes. So in the way this assignment is set up, the student is required to click Submit Assignment to indicate to the teacher that this is their final work. This assignment was also set up to require that the student give the Submit Assignment statement, which says this is my own work. Now, in the student view, I can see this is submitted for grading, but it hasn't yet been graded. I can see what I submitted and when, but notice there is no button here for me to go back in and edit this. Now let's see what it looks like from the teacher side. As a teacher, when I'm ready to grade the assignments, I can go in and click the assignment title and see I have 2 total participants in my course. I have no submissions that are still in draft status. I have 2 that have been submitted and 2 of which need grading. To begin grading, I can click the View Grade All Submissions. And listed here are all the submissions I've received for this assignment. Advanced users may want to play around with some of the drop-down options on this page, but beginners should ignore those. Now, to grade a student's assignment, I can click on the grade icon here. Now I can see what was submitted, and I have the ability to enter a grade, provide textual feedback, or to upload a document as feedback. So in this case, I would read the student's document, and while doing that, would probably also open up the student's rubric. While reading, I can insert my own comments and fill out the rubric. When I'm done, I can simply save my document as a PDF file. And the reason I would want to do that is so that I don't give the student a document back with a grade on it that he or she could edit because they could change the grade on it. Once I've saved my document as a PDF, it might look something like this, which gives the student and the student's parents an idea of how the student thinks he or she did and how I think he or she did. Once I'm finished with the grading and the feedback, I'm ready to upload it into Moodle. The score I gave the student was a 90, If I were not actually completing the rubric and attaching it to the assignment, perhaps I would paste the rubric score here and add some feedback. In this case, since I am going to attach the rubric, I'm going to leave that empty, and I'm going to attach my rubric. Next, you'll see here in the attempt settings that this assignment was set up to allow multiple attempts, but to do so only after I have manually allowed them. If I wanted to allow the student to have another attempt at this assignment, I could simply change this drop down to yes. Notice that I have the option to choose whether to notify the student by email that I've submitted feedback. My changes have been saved and I may continue. Now we can see in my list that I've graded this submission but reopened it so that the student can edit it. I can also see the score that the student earned. Once you have finished grading, you can carry this score into PowerSchool or whatever else you use for grading. To see all scores for all assignments in Moodle, I need to go to my gradebook. I can get there from this page by clicking Administration, View Gradebook, or from the main page, Administration, Grades. Both take you to the same place. And here I would see all of my assignments in columns and all of my students and their scores for each assignment in rows. Advanced users may want to look at some of the options here, especially the creation of categories and items, which would allow you to organize assignments into categories that you may already use, such as homework, quizzes, projects, tests, etc., as well as the ability to export grades and import grades. Beginning users, however, should ignore all of these options and simply use the grader report shown here. And that's how you submit and grade work in your Moodle course.